What is a Cybersecurity Project Manager? In this video, you're going to learn about the Cybersecurity Project Manager career, and this is one of those support careers in the cybersecurity world. So what is a Cybersecurity Project Manager? Well, this is someone that's going to be responsible for leading and managing projects, and these are specifically going to be focused on the cybersecurity projects. So you're going to be working with different cybersecurity teams, you'll be working with the IT team, you'll be working with other business units depending on who's involved in the project. It is usually software engineering is one of the key ones there, as well as different leadership teams, including the executive team in some instances. So essentially, you're the person behind the scenes is kind of making sure all these potential issues are being addressed as the project moves forward. You make sure it's on time, budget, etc. Much like any other project management job. With this one specifically, though, you're going to be focused on cybersecurity projects. So some different job titles you might see for this particular role are going to be like InfoSec or Information Security Project Manager, IT Security Project Manager. In some instances, you might see it called a SOC Project Manager or Security Operations Center Project Manager. That one's pretty rare to see, but you may see some job postings out there for that. IT Security Governance Project Manager, Information Security Operations Project Manager, et cetera, et cetera. So if you are looking on like LinkedIn or Indeed or any job board for this particular role, you can try terms like Information Security Project Manager, Cybersecurity Project Manager, etc. And just kind of play with that a little bit, and you should find some open roles. Another way to find these open roles is also to just look at different cybersecurity companies. So some big ones are your Splunks, your Trend Micros, your CrowdStrikes, etc. of the world. And there's also a lot of other smaller companies out there. But looking at those companies and seeing, do they have a job that's looking for skills of a project manager? They may call it project manager, or it might be called something else. So oftentimes going to those actual company websites, you can find a lot of jobs that you're not going to find on like LinkedIn or Indeed or any of these other job boards out there. So what about the actual job responsibilities for this particular role? Well, as I mentioned already, you're going to be that person that's going to help plan, execute, kind of lead the initiatives of completing these cybersecurity projects and making sure that they're delivered on time, within budget, and to whatever quality and compliance standards. So depending on what project you're managing, you may have some specific compliance or regulatory things you have to actually mesh up to. So it's very critical that you know those things as well. You'll be developing and managing the project plans, things like scheduling, resource allocation, budgets, etc. You'll coordinate the activities of the different teams that are involved in the project. So you're kind of that lead person, essentially, that everyone's going to go to when they have issues or when their team's falling behind or whatever. To basically, you're going to be doing that so you can make sure that any project deliverables from these different teams, again, are completed on time and within the budget that's being allocated. You'll do a lot of collaboration. So this is where effective communication skills, you'll probably see that in some of the job postings you look at out there. Effective communication skills are critical because you're going to be collaborating with all sorts of stakeholders, sometimes external stakeholders, definitely internal stakeholders like executives or other business units in the organization. And again, the goal with that is to just make sure that everyone's on the same page and aligning to the organization's overall strategy and goals. And then, of course, you're going to be communicating where is the project at? Where are we at with budget? What are the key milestones? So essentially keeping everyone on track and saying we're meeting things, or hey, we're behind and here's our action plan to get back on track with this particular project. So it sounds like you're going to be doing a lot of work. So what about like salary and stuff? What are you going to get paid? Well, here in the United States, typically with a little bit of experience, you can make around $90,000 to upwards to like $130,000, $140,000 a year. If you're totally brand new, if you're going into a role that we would oftentimes call like an associate project manager role, then you're realistically here in the U.S. looking at something that's maybe in the $60,000 to $80,000 range starting out. Could be lower, could be higher. It really depends a lot on where you live, but those are some baseline numbers here in the United States. Now, for the UK, around 50,000 to 70,000 pounds, and then in India, it's around 1.2 million to about 2 million Indian rupees. So again, that varies quite a bit based on where you are, especially like in India. If you're in a big city, you obviously can make a lot more versus someone that's in a remote area. And based on where you live in the world, you might also work for an international company. So potentially you might make more money simply because it's a larger company. So a lot of factors in play there, but it is a good paying career for you. What about tools, though? What kind of tools? Do you have to learn how to hack or anything like that? Well, no, right? Fortunately. Now, all that stuff is beneficial. If you learn some basic cybersecurity stuff if you study for some certs and things like that. And we'll talk about certifications in a little bit. All that stuff's beneficial, but you don't actually need any like cyber tools to do this job. So what do you need? Well, some kind of project manager software. It really depends on where you go work at, what they're going to be using. So it could be things like Monday or Monday.com. Could be Asana. Could be Jira. Could be a Trello board. Could be Microsoft Project. Could be any number of tools out there. So basically, any tool that allows you to do project management. So if you're looking to get experience in project management and kind of learn some tools to have a best shot of getting a job, start looking at the companies you want to work at and see what tools they're asking for in the job descriptions. And then you can try to get some experience, at least with a free trial versions of those software if they have them, or you can find something equivalent to get experience with online. Different collaboration tools you'll use as well. Things like Slack, your Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, Zoom, whatever, right? The generic stuff that we use to collaborate with fellow coworkers in corporate world. Cybersecurity management tools, you're not going to, like I said, you're not going to specifically need to learn cyber tools, but it's a good idea to get familiar with like some of the outputs or kind of the general function of tools, especially if you're working at like a cybersecurity product company and they're developing a tool. Get really familiar with that tool because it's going to help you have those conversations with different teams as the project is moving forward. And then other tools you might just want to get familiar with as you grow throughout your career are things around GRC, right? Risk management tools, compliance tools, etc. Another type of software you might be using are the Gantt project tools. It, again, depends a lot on where you work and how they do things there. Things as well as like business intelligence tools like Tableau or Power BI. Might be things you use as well, but the main bread and butter for you is going to be project management software. So just get familiar. Like I said, look up what companies you want to work at, what kinds of software are they asking for, and then try to get experience with those, even if that's just taking a course on like a website like Udemy or something, udemy.com or any other place, or watching some YouTube videos on it. Just getting familiar with it, being able to kind of talk the talk in a job interview can help you quite a bit. So I mentioned earlier about certifications. What certifications do you need? Well, this is actually a career where you typically want to have a certification because employers are usually looking for that. Not always required, but most of the time they're looking for some kind of project management certification. So the Certified Associate in Project Management, or CAPM, is by a place called PMI, or the Project Management Institute, a very popular cert body. And so that's a more entry-level certification. So if you're totally brand new to project management, that might be one you consider studying for. I think you only need 6 months to a year or whatever, but you can probably get it right off the bat. It's a more entry-level cert. And that covers the basics of things like project management. What is it? What's some of the terminology around it? What are kind of best practices and processes to follow for project management? And then as you get experience, and I can't recall off the top of my head, I think it's like 3 or 5 years experience, but then you can take what's called a Project Management Professional, or PMP. That's probably the most popular certification that's asked for in job descriptions. And so that one, again, is by PMI, or the Project Management Institute. It's kind of that quote-unquote gold standard of project management certifications. So this covers a little more advanced things like the project initiation, effective planning of the project, execution, monitoring, closure, etc. You can always study for the PMP, even though you're entry level, and then just on your resume put studying for my PMP. And then that way that might trigger keywords, and then your resume gets to the top of the pile for the hiring manager to actually review. Another certification is a CompTIA Project Plus. You see this one popular like university programs. They usually include this certification. Western Governors University is a good example of that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's an IT focused project management certification versus like a more kind of generic one. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just I don't see it a lot in job postings being asked for. But if that's in your budget, if that's the best thing to get, then you can always get that, and at least you got a project management certification. And then some other ones are the Prince 2. That's a very popular one, like in the UK and Europe. And again, this focuses on things like the using the Prince for specific business cases, analyzing the organization, analyzing things like quality, planning, risk management, and planning for change and things like that. The Certified Scrum Master, or CSM, this one's offered by the Scrum Alliance, and this is specifically for people that are going to be working on like agile project management teams or agile teams. So this covers a Scrum framework, which is an agile framework for project management. So things like the product backlog, sprint planning, daily stand-up meetings, etc. So kind of all the things you would need to know around Agile project management and Agile teams in an organization. This is a good certification for that. And then PMI, the Institute with the PMP and the CAPM, they also offer something called the Agile Certified Practitioner, or ACP. And again, just like the Scrum Master one, this is one around working with Agile teams. This one in particular, though, covers a little more high level, kind of 10,000 foot view. And so it covers different Agile methodologies so you can understand that, including Scrum, which we just talked about. You can get the Scrum specific one, or you can get this ACP one that kind of covers Scrum, Kanban, Lean, and many, many others. So number of certifications to get. Typically, certifications are going to be at least a preferred qualification in job postings. Oftentimes you're going to find them as a requirement just because they want you to have some of the knowledge. So again, studying for a certification, that can give you the knowledge you need to actually get that first interview and potentially get that job offer. So in this video, again, you just learned about the Cybersecurity Project Manager job description. If you like these videos, if you find them helpful, be sure to let us know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe. And let us know also in the comments below what questions you have around cybersecurity careers, cybersecurity certifications, exams, whatever. We want to create this channel and push out content to help you. So we're not mind readers. We don't know exactly what you're needing. So let me know in the comments and we'll try to create content around that to help you in your cybersecurity career.